Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is James Quintero. I represent the Texas Public Policy Foundation. Thank you for the opportunity to testify in support of HB 5446. Over the interim, I actually had an opportunity to study school districts' handling of the debt disclosure requirement and enacted by 2019's HB 3, and which is at the center of this bill. And I just want to offer a few thoughts based on that analysis. First, some voters are being misdirected on the relationship between new debt and new taxes. One of the most common ways this occurs is through the repeated claim that some debt measure will not change your tax rate. One such instance is documented in your report on page 2, figure 2, which shows Highland ISD make this statement in all caps in relation to its 2024 bond. What this statement erroneously communicates is that there is no connection between new debt and new taxes, which I find to be patently false. Second, some ISDs are adding extra verbiage to propositions in an attempt to explain away the debt disclosure requirement. An example of this may be seen on page 4, figure 4, where Angleton ISD includes a disclaimer following the statement, "This is a property tax increase." I believe this is nothing more than a distraction. Third, other ISDs like Houston ISD are sandwiching the debt disclosure statement between English and Spanish versions of the ballot proposition, which makes it difficult for the average person to spot. An example of this particular tactic is observable on page 3, figure 5. Now, in concert, these strategies are dulling the effectiveness of the legislature's 2019 law, and I would say doing voters a disservice. I believe it's important we enact common sense changes to move us in a better direction, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Quintero. Members, any questions? Chair recognizes Chair Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for your testimony again.
Yes, sir.
You spoke a lot about school districts, and thank you for the handout.
Yes, sir.
The bill, if I understood it correctly from the bill author, is extending the current ballot language which relates to school district bonds to all local governments. Do I have that right?
Which I think is a phenomenal change, very much needed.
Okay. So would it apply just to bond elections, or would it apply to any ballot proposition?
My understanding is bond elections only, but
So no
in
sales tax?
full disclosure, I'm not an attorney, so
Okay, not sales tax elections?
I understand it only to mean bond elections.
Okay, thank you.
Chair recognizes Vice Chair Martinez Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And so if it's a bond election, is that considered like a tax increase? I guess I'm thinking about elections where, let's say, municipality or local government bundles some debt and they, take a lower rate to retire, older debt, and in effect, it ends up saving money for the citizens of that jurisdiction. Would that be the same?
It's a very good question, sir, Mr. Vice Chair.
I
So
stayed
there
at
are
Holiday Inn Express last night, that's why.
There are refunding bonds, and I would say that the rate at which refunding bonds occurred in prior years was perhaps a bit more frequent and common when interest rates were low. Now that rates have started to rise a little bit, they're a little less common. My understanding is the disclosure statement would apply to those instances still too, because at a minimum, the jurisdiction borrowed money in the past. It's now refinancing at a lower rate, but it's still going to pay back principal and interest, which will ultimately cost the taxpayer money.
But in the end, if they did nothing, the citizens would bear more of a financial burden, but because they were forward-thinking to, take advantage of an attractive market, which I submit is probably not present in this current circumstance, but at least, it had been in the past. I mean, I think maybe we should figure something out to acknowledge those instances where the effort is actually to lessen the burden.
And I believe there was a prior legislative proposal considered in 2023, which actually excluded refunding bonds, and I think that's perfectly reasonable, to be honest. So,
Thank you, I appreciate it.
sir.